Good morning, guys.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
How's it going?
Special guest on the show again, or can we call him a special guest, really? He's part of the furniture now.
Exactly.
Craig Wood,
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
awesome to have you here, man.
It's a pleasure to
Welcome
be
back.
here. Thanks again.
Yeah, it's always nice to have you on the show. Like I said, part of the furniture. We chatting backwards and forwards all the time. You're never short of a little project. You're never short of a good idea or a challenge. And so nice to be a part of this journey with you. It's been a real privilege actually see you go about your work. We're going to chat a little bit later on about some personal developments on your side, but get started a bit with the news, guys, from this week in aviation. First of all, some housekeeping from our side. Have I told you, Brett, we've only got 3 episodes left after this one.
Well, I'm like a mushroom, you know that, yeah.
Yep.
So I'm glad I finally found out.
Yeah.
There's 3 more episodes with me on it.
Well, no, there's 3 more episodes after this one for the second season of the
Nice.
show. So we'll end on 30 for the year, which I'm sort of very proud of, to be honest, because we
I'm
haven't
totally proud. It's brilliant.
we haven't missed a week, which has been quite cool. Since, if you take into account lockdowns and alcohol restrictions,
Yeah.
we've been doing this for a while now, but we're hoping to come back a bit stronger next year. So mid-Jan, end of Jan, we'll be back with season 3
Exactly.
with some improvements. But looking forward to that. But off to the local news this week. Ryan, anything?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. Let's start off with Lyft. Quite fancy their sort of marketing drive. Interesting concept from these guys. They got the public's interest sort of getting involved initially when they set out that little challenge about trying to choose a name. And with that all done now, they've rallied a bit of a competition out there to get the public to choose on their livery sort of colour.
Good
Quite
idea.
interesting. Good marketing
They got
ploy.
such good feedback with that naming situation. With 25,000
Yeah.
suggestions there for a name. So Get On has definitely managed to bring the public on board and get them involved. And he's been very prominent in the media. Nice
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see them get underway. I've got a sort of personal bet that I think they're going to go with option B,
Which was that one?
the one with the yellow tail, and I think that looks cool. It's going to fit in line with what their website looks like.
Have you seen the website, Brett?
I haven't seen their website. No, I've
Lyft.
seen the-
It's lyft.co.za. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's clean. It's neat. It's one of the best. Not just saying it because we're talking about it now, but one of the best sort of aviation websites I've seen. Very easy, and the whole booking sequence is quite nice. I sort of booked myself a flight right up to having to pay for it, but a very easy booking sequence and good website. Go check it out.
Look, I think with the way they've done it, with creating that hype in advance, is brilliant for any new business. I mean, if you're able to do that, and they have done it, which has been, they've used the situation of people being available to actually get onto something, make choices, give suggestions. It's brilliant. It's very good.
Yeah, a lot of innovation, which is quite cool.
See, their cabin crew and ground staff are going to be kitted out by Superbalist,
Yeah.
and morning flight passengers can expect Vida coffee, and afternoon passengers, they got a wine selection there. So you and me will be on
The afternoon flights. That's for sure.
Give the morning flights a
It's
skip.
the only time you two will get on a flight to nowhere.
There's nothing wrong with a good cup of coffee.
No, nothing wrong at all. But wishing them all the best. And it's going to be fantastic to have another South African airline gracing our skies, to add to the already successful Airlink and, of course, Fly Safair, who announced interline with Emirates.
Yep. And don't forget Airline K. I'm quite impressed about how Airline just about every week are coming out with new news. It was just last week that they sort of announced their new colors and livery and stuff. And now this week they launching routes to Lubumbashi, Dar es Salaam. They're also keeping things. They're growing.
You're
fast.
inclined to not even talk about Airlink because they are announcing so much so often. We've got used to them announcing stuff every day.
Yeah, they're very in your face.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's brilliant. And have you seen those 190s in that new livery?
Man, it looks cool.
That looks smart. It really, really looks nice. It's perfect. Really,
Yeah.
really good. So these interlines, they're important to us right now. They're important to South African travellers. Qantas have cancelled flights to South Africa till October 2021.
Yep.
Obviously, there's no SAA to take us to Perth or Sydney.
There's no direct link between South Africa and Australia now at the moment.
So you're going to be either on a link ticket or a Safair ticket via Doha, Dubai, wherever to get to Australia. So many Australians have, or South Africans have split families in Australia. So it's a well-travelled route. So these interlines are important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's the lifeline for us. If we don't have it, we stuck here in the little southern tip, which is not good.
Yeah, but fortunately we got, these strong domestic carriers that are really coming to the party. And obviously Lyft coming on board soon, but it's so nice to see, Safair and Airlink really take the mantle, and they're just running with it. I mean, the premier airlines in the country by country mile.
Exactly.
Yeah,
With
nice to
no
see.
government support needed.
Yeah, running a proper business.
I thought we were going to be nice to government today.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I just had to throw that one in there.
Get it out there early.
It's like a twitch.
On the African side, here at Samera, we've just welcomed Mozambique Express. Guys are doing training on the ERJ. We've also got petroleum air services from Egypt here. And talking before the show to Craig, we're optimistic about aviation in Africa. Brett, you dealing with the clients all the time. It's really picking up. It's getting busy. The requests are there, and
Every single airline is coming back for training. There haven't been any that have gone under. They might be at little, maybe 50% of operation or even 20%, it doesn't matter, but the guys are out there. And new airlines coming up in Africa every single day. The guys are seeing the opportunity, choosing different routes. It's great to see. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's great to see. And do you think as well, is there not a case now of, finances are so in the spotlight? Africa has been a hotbed for corruption for years. But obviously, has COVID maybe helped the continent reduce the corruption that goes on, particularly in the airlines? Everyone is being quite conservative about the way. No one's rushing off and doing operating any unnecessary routes. It's almost just quietly going along the business, ticking all the right boxes. It's awesome to see, because this may be the break that African aviation needed.
I'm not sure about corruption, but definitely the airlines they're slim, they're dynamic, they're moving quickly. I think they've got rid of a lot of excess baggage. Every airline around the world obviously has done that, but I think that's just perfect for an African airline. Now they're nimble. They were before, but now it's cleaner, without a doubt. I see it with every single one of the Samera clients here. The guys know exactly what they want. They're in and out. They don't want to mess around. The guys are coming here fully prepared. I mean, it's just a different vibe coming out of Africa.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for the airlines as well to cut costs, streamline and optimize.
Yeah.
So they've cut their necessary costs and they've become, like you say, lean and mean. focusing on actual core business.
Exactly.
And a lot of these companies were operating the right gauge aircraft to start with. They haven't had to go off and purchase new aircraft. You know, a lot of these guys we're talking about operate ERJs as an example. In this climate, that gauge aircraft is ideal. So long may that continue.
And I've seen a big upturn in Dash 8 operations, which I was quite surprised with. But over the last 2-3 months, it's been phenomenal how many guys are turning to the Dash 8s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember in the early days of SA Express, when they still operated the Dash 8 300s, that was the money maker. It was usually always said that every time that airplane turned its props, it was making money. It's an efficient little airplane and ideal for Africa. So, yeah, cool.
Resilience in Africa, good to see. Going off to worldwide airline news, we're going to talk a bit later about some innovation that's happening. Air New Zealand, you see they announced what they're looking at from their cabins. They first class, it's like a first class light option, or depending on what you want to call it, business class plus or whatever. But a lot of innovation going on. What can these airlines offer? And we can expect to see sort of private pods. Everyone's got aisle access. I'm very keen to see what these new 350s and 787s come out with when these airlines start innovating in the cabin. I'm not sure what's going to happen on the economy side. Do you think that's going to be in the other direction? I think Lufthansa announced this week no food and that on short haul flights. You can expect the same service you get on Ryan Air or Wizz Air, one of those. So economy might take a bit of a dive in terms of what quality you can expect, but the business class side looks quite exciting. Not that we're going to be traveling business class too much, but it'd be good to see.
Yeah, I know. Look, one thing's for sure, it's definitely not going to be the same as it was last year. Lots of changes all around, and like you said, we'll touch on innovation a little bit later, but it's going to be interesting to see how airlines churn things up.
Yeah, it will. I see Austrian Airlines and Swiss doing the same thing as Lufthansa. Basically, your economy cabin is going to be a low-cost carrier type cabin, and no frills, no fuss, A to B travel. Keep it simple.
See, Air Seychelles is back coming into Joburg again on their 320, so which is good to see. JetBlue as well is now aiming at Italy. So they've got a big drive to move to the Italian market, which is good for the summers, and then they push it to Latin America and in the European winters.
They're expanding. Yeah, good to see. Obviously, this news broke this week of this was a Moderna vaccine. So shares shot up again. I mean, we spoke about it last week, mentioning the share price. I mean, Boeing went up again 4.1%, General Electric 3.7%, IAG 12%. So that they're going up. So these vaccine news, it definitely has given the financial side a big boost. What's going to happen with? Obviously, there's a lot of emphasis now on testing. COVID testing and stuff like this. When that vaccine is out, does that fall away, or are we going to be... Craig, you got any idea with that? Because it's almost... the reason I jump on this, are they almost not getting... they're not investing too much anymore in the testing process because the vaccine is shortly to be released, or is that going to continue? Because this whole testing process that they set up at Heathrow, get tested at the airport, negative test, go and fly. It seems ideal, almost, unrestricted from a travel point of view. I just worry now that all stops because we wait for this vaccine, and if there's a delay.
I can't imagine that they'll stop the testing altogether anytime soon. You'll probably find there'll be a transition phase. They've got to make sure that this vaccine actually does its job first. So, yeah, maybe a good 3, 6, 9 months of a sort of transition period. Who knows? Let's see. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we will.
I think I agree with the transition period. You might even find a situation where it will be either one or the other. if you've got a travel passport with a vaccination confirmation in it, you won't need to be tested.
Could be. Let's wait and see. See the news out of South Korea. Koreans joined, or they bought Aviation.
Yeah.
So now one of the top 10 airlines in the world in terms of size. Good for the market there. I believe Aviation was taking a bit of strain. On the contrary, Cathay, they're still cancelling flights left, right and centre. Cancelling to the UK and the US.
Yeah, look, it's I think it's the start of what we expected to see is the buyouts or the overtaking of a lot of airlines, collaboration. We've spoken about it before. There's going to be a lot more of that coming forward. I've got a bit of a theory about 2021. And I mean, we're very optimistic that 2021 will be a better year to a large degree and in some sectors. I think there's going to be a bit of a hangover period from this 2020 pandemic. So what I'm trying to get at is I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing.
No, it won't be.
For the next 3-4 years at least.
Yeah.
There's more of that to come.
Yeah, definitely. The Cathay Pacific thing is, it hits close to home. There's a lot of South Africans that were operating for Cathay for many years. Bearing in mind, when you fly for them, your whole family is there. You become a citizen there in Hong Kong. And, so many job cuts, and it's difficult for the guys there. But they're doing all the right things. They're just being ruthless. If a route doesn't make money, or an aircraft doesn't make money, they cut it. And I suppose that's what they've got to do. They've postponed that order for 21 777Xs. It's a huge number. And they've postponed that till 2025 and beyond. So this is, like you say, Ryan, this is not recovery and beginning of 2021. This is a 4 or 5 year process.
Yeah.
You look at the EU, well, they've got this 15% tariff on new aircraft coming in. They've I don't know how long it's been in place for, but Bryan Air, they got 135 Maxes on order. The 15% tariff is going to push their bill up by $2 billion. Something's got to be done in the industry to try and assist airlines as opposed to, I know they're hoping that Biden's going to make the change and get that removed somehow with negotiation, but I'm not so sure that's ever going to happen. But it's a problem. You've got a lot of things. I understand there are a lot of other things behind airlines, behind continents like the EU putting a 15% on. But you see KLM's got a massive issue with Greenpeace now. So Greenpeace is saying the carbon emissions in the bailout that the government has given them is not enough. I think by 2050 or 2035 they got to reduce emissions by 50%. Greenpeace is saying not a chance, and they've taken them to court to stop the remaining 3.4 billion euros being paid to them. So that's going to put KLM under massive pressure.
You just to touch on that, I came across a story where airlines like Qatar have launched a carbon emissions offset program to their ticket sales. I don't know if you've seen that. Quite an interesting plan that they're driving at, but it's sort of a voluntary thing that you can do when you buy a ticket. You can contribute to their voluntary carbon emissions offset program. So what they're doing is they're taking that money that they collect from those tickets and they're investing it into like wind farms in India and that. So they are trying.
Doing what they can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, hopefully KLM will do something similar to a
But
peace.
you mustn't
Greenpeace.
worry about Ryan Air, Brett, because their Maxes have 200 seats.
They do.
So it's actually a different certification. They will have to actually get that 8200, they call it, certified separately to the Max. I think it's something like 67 passengers per toilet in one of those.
Those were the numbers. Oh man!
If you want to look
ridiculous.
at it that way.
Yeah. So if you're going to travel on a Max, take your own bottle of water and your own wee John with you.
Or don't drink any water.
Leave the water.
Leave the water.
You see the interesting flight, Gulf Air's first flight into Tel Aviv. happened. And they changed the registration GF 972 to Israel's national telephone code. That might have been a bit of a nervous flight. The very first one going in.
Yes.
Oh, no.
We
Yeah.
touched on the MAX there, obviously. FAA approved, so
Yeah.
green light for the MAX.
Mhm.
American operators can start flying the MAX. That doesn't include Canada or EASA yet, but EASA expected to follow suit and start operating their MAXs. Any news on whether Comair is going to be operating their MAX?
I think Comair need to start operating first. Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's in the plan to operate that MAX,
Yeah, probably only next year. There's quite a few
they're going to have to
boxes to tick before.
Yeah.
You can't just fire up your Max and fly now. You got to have software upgrades. Your crew have to be trained. So, and it's got to go through the whole certification process through like our Civil Aviation Authority, which
And if
might
the
take a while.
license updates or anything to go by, it might take a while before you get there.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice to see the MAX flying in Comair colours, that's for sure.
I think that, I don't know if the NOTAM is still out, that it prohibited the Maxes flying in South African airspace.
Oh, really?
There was a NOTAM. I don't know if it's still there,
Shucks.
but there was.
It's been a while since I've read a NOTAM, I'll be honest.
Same.
Yeah.
Since March. Since March.
3.8 billion loss for Emirates. That's their half-year loss. First half-year loss in 30 years. That's disturbing and remarkable in the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it just goes to show, hey, I mean, even the trees at the top are catching the most wind at the moment. So,
But they're getting 2 new A380s at the end of the month. Do you know that?
I saw that.
2 new A380. What do you think of that, Ryan? I mean, everyone else is binning the A380s, parking them wherever they can find space, and Emirates are going to be operating 2 new ones. Tim Clark keeps mentioning how important they are to the brand, and they've been critical to Emirates' growth in the last few years. So they're going to be operating the 380s for a good time to come. But interestingly, they're operating obviously the 777s and the 380s. So Emirates will probably be one of the few operators operating a bit of an outdated fleet in terms of technology. Not in terms of age, but of technology. 787s and 350s are widely used everywhere, and they slightly outdated. What do you think?
no, look, I think it's they're forced to operate at A380. They haven't invested in the 787s or the A350 like a lot of the other airlines have. So, yeah, they have no choice. They've got to operate it. And,
I'm glad someone's operating it because it's an awesome plane to see.
yeah, look, I mean, I still love seeing 4-engine aeroplanes flying. I've got a big soft spot for big,
Pilot guys, old school.
proper old school. Yeah, man.
But Sir Tim was also quoted, and I think he said it in March. He said the 380 is over and the 747 is over. So he's changed. They've changed their tune a bit on that.
Look, you're going to see it happening. I mean, as we go along and people or airlines are trying to adapt to the way things are done, you might see that there'll be a mindset change every now and again.
Look, Airlink are growing at such a rate. It wouldn't surprise me if Roger announces their first 380s arriving. Adding aircraft and routes all the time. They're going to need a few 380s.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let him
I
do
think
it.
it'll be a more efficient aeroplane than an A380.
Yeah. No, Roger definitely will be. A more conservative gauge and a more efficient aircraft, no, for sure. Freighter news. Touched on it last week. There was the bulk of the show last week was the freighter market and obviously moving the vaccine around the world. The vaccine is one thing. This e-commerce, I want to hop on it again because this is massive. The e-commerce side is growing at such a rate that the freighter market is going to absolutely explode. The demand for aircraft, there was a 225 prediction. I mean, it's increasing in size. It's not just a few percent. It's not 20%, 30%. I mean, it's massive. can we just talk about this e-commerce and why it's such a big thing? Obviously, we all buying stuff on Amazon and Take-A-Lot, and the pandemic has come along and not forced us to buy stuff there, but it's shown everyone the convenience of buying stuff, over e-commerce. And those goods have got to be delivered. They have to be. And we're not talking about, one or two things a day. We're talking about cargo aircraft full of these of goods. I'm excited about the freighter industry, and I believe, put my neck on the block, that's going to be the lifeline of the commercial pilots out there, because those jobs are the jobs that are going to become available first. And is it not going to become the norm to be a freighter pilot as opposed to passenger?
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think it's going that way. As we've seen, the freighter jobs have not been affected at all, and
they've actually increased.
They've increased. So yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. It'll be nice to see, a cargo operator maybe start up out of South Africa, and
well,
just putting it out there. If anyone's interested in buying 747s and are starting a cargo operation in SA, there's more than enough pilots that are keen.
There's Roger in the background ripping the seats out that 380.
But you can see it happening. IAG into India, 60% of all cargo was brought into India on passenger planes. Now India is effectively shut down, so there's no cargo coming in. So IAG jumped on this months ago, and they are pushing now. They have just cargo. It's cargo airline now. Don't use passenger airlines at all. And they said it was specifically for the PPE stuff initially, and fresh fruit and veg and everything they needed to bring in. Now it's e-commerce. 90% of their cargo is e-commerce coming into India. So, yeah, they've jumped on that little opportunity, and someone here needs to as well. I have no doubt there's a market for it.
Oh, there's a market, man.
Definitely.
I wouldn't mind being a Take-A-Lot pilot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it'd be cool, man.
It'd be cool, man.
You'll be delivering 90% of your own purchases.
I'll be delivering 90% of your TV purchases. Do you have a TV license, Brett? Where's your TV license?
Yeah, I have a TV license. I'm a good citizen, hey? I'm a very good. I'm contributing to those exorbitant executive salaries, $3.5 million a year.
It's the right thing to do.
Well, that's what I do with keeping my pilot's license current, is contribute to the CIA. So there's no money for a TV license after that.
Craig, it's so good to have you here, man. Like I said, you've been a huge supporter of ours. You share a lot of our stuff. You comment on our stuff. You give us ideas. You encourage us to improve on one or two things. Even the other day, walking on the treadmill, you shot out a video to say, guys, make the episode 40 minutes, please. We did for you.
And I'm so grateful for that. And all other athletes that are training and listening to your podcast can now train for 40 minutes. So whether I'm on the treadmill or the watt bike, it's awesome. The problem, though, is when I'm in the swimming pool, I don't know how to listen to your podcast.
I'm sure there's technology for that. We're going to have to find
There's the next challenge.
But I do like what you've actually touched on here. If you listen to the Bryan Air podcast, you become an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Well, look at us.
Look at us. I mean.
But you guys have had awesome gains, awesome incremental gains. I mean, look at your T-shirts. Last time I was here, it was all random sort of colors and schemes. If I have a look there, I can see your Bryan Air cups, your new studio. Last time I was in that storeroom at the back. So you guys
we
are
were never in a storeroom. What are you talking about?
Well done. You guys are doing well.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate your support.
But it's nice to get the reassurance from guys like yourself. We don't always get that. And I think maybe we could all take a leaf out of Craig's book from that perspective. If someone is doing something, no matter how random it is, if there's a mate of yours out there that's trying something new, check it out. And if you think it's nice or it's good or the product is a good quality, then pick up the phone and phone your mate and say, listen, I think you're doing a good job. Keep it up.
Exactly.
It's true. And even if they're not doing a good job or you haven't spoken to them for ages, pick up the phone and just ask them how they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just nice to engage with people, especially now when we're not seeing everyone as much as we used to.
Yeah.
We need to engage.
Now more than ever, we need to do that because we are not engaging with people. We're not seeing people. Worldwide, it's becoming an actual thing that people are not associating with others, and they tend to pull into their own little holes, and I'm safe here and that's it, and it's the worst thing you can possibly do. We need connection. We human beings, we've got to have it.
Don't underestimate the value of that boost on social media, because people are looking towards that for that connection.
It's true.
So
Elevate others, and you'll automatically be elevated in the process.
Exactly.
Make someone else feel good, you benefit society.
Yeah.
Last time you were on the show, you mentioned the book "Who Moved My Cheese," and I read it I'd read it before, but I think, as you said then, it is a book for now. It's so I want to throw that out there again. Give it a read. It's a short book. When I read that, it made me realize, why you've been so dynamic and it's well worth it. Give it a read. It's available. You can pick up the audio version on YouTube there. But Craig, I'm going to throw it over to you because, like I said, you're no longer a guest, part of the team. This isn't the last time you're going to be on the show. So, off to you, man.
No, thanks, Brian. I'm excited with the environment that I'm operating in, and that's the whole Aviation for SA concept. While the app was being developed and the app is now launched and it's running quite nicely, during the COVID period, I started this newsletter where actually it informs the industry when there's legislative changes. But that getting a newsletter all the time with links to law and legislative changes and amendments, that's boring. I mean, who wants to read that stuff? So I started spicing up this newsletter with the e-magazines, the main four aviation magazines, and then I started engaging with the industry. And this newsletter that comes out on a Friday is now, I want it to become the go-to in aviation. So if you're in aviation and you're looking for something, this newsletter should be a way of pointing you in that particular direction. Now, to give you an example, insurance, for example. If you are learning how to fly or you're an instructor, you need excess insurance, pilot excess insurance. So if you're looking for insurance, there's going to be companies on this newsletter that provide the service for you so that you can get your insurance. If you are looking at acquiring an aircraft and you don't have the money, you need aircraft financing, aircraft leasing. For the aircraft owners that want to upgrade their avionics or leases, this is the place to go to find out those service providers that are providing that type of service. So whether you're looking for insurance, short-term or long-term insurance, whether it's loss of license insurance, disability, I don't know if you know that on a normal life insurance policy, pilots are excluded on a normal policy.
Yep.
So you need to make sure that if you're in aviation and you've got a life policy, you've got to make sure that that exclusion is not there. So there are specific companies that deal with aviation-specific products. Pilot Insure is one of those guys. I'm dealing with France to get the word out there. And so what we want to do is educate the industry that if you're in aviation, you need specific insurance products. If you want to insure your aircraft or the hangar that the aircraft is in, you need specific aviation insurance. If you want finance, this is the place to go for finance. If you need aviation advice, I've partnered with David Swanepoel Attorneys. He's a specialist in air law. So whether you want to apply to the Air Service Licensing Council or you want to know something on business rescue with the airlines, here's a channel to get through to the products. So that's what's making this newsletter grow in its audience and in its value, in the value drive that it's providing. So it's becoming the go-to for the aviation industry.
It's the definite go-to, and it's grown into I think if you're not reading it, if you're not looking at it, then you will definitely be out of touch with what's happening. Is a great initiative, and you know, that, Craig, amongst a multitude of other things that you've got going on. I mean,
so the other initiative, and we had a discussion about this a while ago, is giving back to the industry. You know, there are so many that are struggling to get into aviation, or those that are in aviation and struggling to get further. So I want to create a mechanism to help these people either get in or move further in their careers. So the concept that I'm looking at is, it's called DIG. Develop, Inspire and Grow Tomorrow's Aviation. So this is a concept that's busy growing, and now as I've been pitching this idea to the various organizations out there, they're all jumping onto the bandwagon. And this is incredible. When I spoke to Ati Niemand this week at 43 Air School, he said to me, Craig, love the idea. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to donate an AFIS course, an ATC course. So AFIS is the first step to becoming an ATC. And he said it's about a 200,000 Rand course. It will be done at 43 Air School, and I'll even provide employment after that, if that candidate or that person is
it
successful.
doesn't get better than that.
Yeah,
How
what
cool
an
is
offer.
that?
Yeah.
That's
Eh?
awesome.
Hats off to 43. Then chatting to the PSGs and the Dennis Jenkelos with excess insurance, and they said maybe we can work a way to contribute this, not necessarily in cash, but we can offer excess insurance to the pilots that are in the industry. Some of the ATOs that are offering online training, because now online training seems to be the way to go. So you can download online CBT training for your PPL, your COM, your ATPL. So there's online courses. And then you go and write the CIA exam. So these ATOs are saying, Craig, I'll throw in some courses for you. So we're getting courses for training. We're getting ATC courses. This is not only for pilots. This is for across the board. So there's ATC, there's pilots. So I'm chatting to the other ATOs and seeing who's going to jump on board. Some are offering cash. There's a gentleman with a twin Baron, and he said, Craig, you can have some of the hours on that. I mean, even you have said that we've got simulators here. We'll offer you time on the simulators, not to do a rating, but if you want to bring a pilot in to get some exposure into an airliner cockpit, this is a great opportunity. You did it with Pilot Khomotso.
We're here for that.
The other day.
And, I can't offer financial stuff, but man, we more than happy. We got Khomotso here. You know how much value I got out of that? Because, we've been in aviation a long time and an airline a long time, and you do get disconnected with what's happening at the flying schools and the struggles they're going through and the questions that get asked, and it brings you right back, and it just improves my whole workflow, because you start thinking about things a bit differently, and Greg, we're on board for that.
I mean, we're sitting with Justin.
Yeah.
Young guy, up and coming comm. He comes through here every single day, and he helps out wherever he can. And it's great for him. He's surrounded by pilots constantly. He's got the knowledge there. He jumps in the sim every now and again. He sits in every course just to try and he's fully committed, and it's great to have people like that around.
That shows passion, and I think passion is a key element to success in aviation. Passion is what keeps us going in the flight deck, because it's hard. It's a hard job flying. You get fatigued. You work long hours. You're away from your family, and it's not the money that keeps you in that flight deck. It's the passion, and if you don't have the passion, you'll soon lose interest in aviation.
Yeah, old Justin here, I mean, it's the equivalent of, my old man always said, these guys that, used to hang around the airports, he used to, when we first got our comms, hanging around at Lanseria waiting for a King Air position or something, and it's just so nice to see the knock aviation has taken, yet there's still people out there that just want to get into it, and it's that passion, it's a drive, it's part of you, it's in your blood, so you're going to make it work one way or another. But you need guys like yourself, Craig, to open that door, no matter how small it is, or even to organize the stuff around it. And you're the organizer, man.
Yeah.
And it might be me initiating it, almost like being the conductor in an orchestra. I need the orchestra. And the orchestra, it's an empty stage, and the players are starting to come on board. And this is what I absolutely love. When I make the call to the person, it's almost straight away. I'm on board. We love the idea. Tell us how we can help. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, when I went to, in fact, Fireblade Aviation phoned me just after I launched the app. And they said, Craig, do you roll this app out into businesses and organizations, or is it only individually based? I said, no, it's set up for organizations. And they said, come and see us. When I went and it was probably about a 15-minute, 20-minute chat, and they said, it's a no-brainer. We want this app. So how awesome is that when a company like Fireblade recognizes that having aviation available on your smart device quickly and available and accessible now, that just shows that they're at the leading edge of technology. And they love the concept of DIG because, the Oppenheimers, they are giving back to South Africa, not only aviation, to South Africa. They've contributed to the COVID fund, and they're just looking for ways to contribute. And when I spoke their language, when I said, aviation, let's help people get in, and those that are in get further, and they said, we're on board. And even if you're looking for a place to host this launch event for your DIG initiative, we're offering Fireblade facilities for that launch.
No better facility than that.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So that's
awesome.
So I'm pleased to have a very distinguished company like Fireblade on board. So that's the first corporate that's on board. I'm waiting for an airline and an ATO, and we'll see how it goes then when I have those sort of three representatives of the industry on board.
Brilliant, Craig. I love it.
I love the innovation in the airline industry has been a little bit slow. It's lagged behind as opposed to other industries. I mean, you've got AR in airports around the world. You've got beacons. You can open up and it can tell you exactly which direction on your phone to the next gate. You get to a certain. There's so many things. But South Africa specifically has lacked with innovation. And I just love that you've started this innovation, and you've built it and they've come. Everyone is starting to come to you, talk to you. I think it's just brilliant. Really,
it's just creating a platform. People are kind-hearted. They want to give. They want to, but they just don't know how.
Yeah. That's a wonderful initiative. Just going back to what you said earlier about us, I think there's, besides flying, another thing that pilots love to do is talk. And when you can sit down,
flying.
Yeah, exactly. And just being able to have a chat with someone, especially a youngster who's willing to soak up your sort of experience and stuff, and take some of your knowledge that you're willing to impart, is, it's just as good feeling for a pilot to give that. I enjoy it.
That's great. I mean, it's like when you teach someone or give a lecture in a classroom, it's that lecturer that's learning.
Exactly.
When you articulating your words and that, you think about things differently, and find a young pilot or someone that's up and coming, and have a chat with them. You'll learn a lot.
Give back to the industry.
Oh man, it makes you feel good. Yeah.
Aviation 4SA is it's a brilliant app, Craig. It took obviously some serious creativity to get that going, but now it's almost like it's a given. It's a mainstay. If that app's not working, then we're a bit lost as to what to do, because you become reliant on it. And easy to use. If you haven't downloaded it, we'll leave all the information in the show notes. But you got to download that app. It's brilliant.
Thanks. There was a situation just as it was launched, because because Android has got so many variants, and you've got a program for all the different software, the software sort of platforms, and the one device we hadn't planned for or we didn't know about, and the next minute I got this report saying, "This is useless. How do I? It used to work, now it doesn't anymore, and it's a problem." So I phoned this young man. I said, "Listen, this is who I am. What's the issue here?" And he explained the problem. But what made it so... It was a train smash for him, because he was the flight safety officer at a flying school. And he said, "Craig, I'm giving a presentation on this app next week. I'm doing my COM or my ATPL on Monday. And I use this app for that. Now I don't have it anymore. Now I have to go to the CIA website and I want your app back. And this is a train smash for me. So got the developers on it. We worked rapidly and expeditiously, and we got the next version out the next day. Phoned him and I said, okay, try it now. He was over the moon. Thank me very much. And off he goes again.
That's awesome.
So
That's
we
the
were
reliance.
responsive.
Yeah, that reliance has already started. It's hit.
Yeah, then you know you've got a proper product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then good development behind it, because we could fix it within such a short period.
Yeah.
And that was still in the test phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Craig, going away from just from the business side, but another area where you are one of the leaders, I'd say, is your ability to engage and to post on social media. And it's not it's sometimes it's aimed at support for guys like us. You share our stuff or comment on our stuff, but other times you're pushing something out that again is something for the industry, and you've got an ability or a skill at doing that. But last time we spoke about what would you recommend to people out there, and I still find that there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge and a lot to say, but maybe a little bit scared or tentative to actually get onto social media and say it. And you've got an ability to do it. Any advice there or anything that, just in terms of engagement, that you want to throw out there? Because I really, I admire your commitment to continuous, consistent posting. It's that consistency that I think is so important in this age of communication on social media.
So there's an assumption that social media is rumors, and so I've made the point of making sure that whatever I post is not generating rumors and negativity. And thank you for those kind words. It's not only me that's posting. I've got a team that manages the social media side of things for me. So obviously when I'm commenting, it's me commenting, but I can't take all the gratitude for the posts. It's the team that I'm working with.
The Craig bots.
The Craig bots.
You've got a team of minions running around.
But yeah, my advice to anybody would be, post what you want to post, but there's a disclaimer on that statement, and that is whatever you post is going to stay there forever. Make sure you can be proud of that posting, you can defend that posting, you're not embarrassing anybody, and you're not going to cause any reputational damage to yourself, your organization, or anybody else. So there's a fine line between being honest and being truthful and being responsible in what you say.
Is that why people don't post?
I think people are nervous to post because they don't want to stand up above the crowd and put their opinion out there. Because it actually takes guts to put your opinion in a social media platform where millions are reading it. And you've just got to be able to defend what you say without causing damage to anybody. But I think people are scared to post. It's easy to like, and a lot of people like, but to actually comment, share, and comment, it's gutsy to do that.
I think there's like a bit of a misconception, why should we encourage people to post? But I think what it does, if you're commenting on posts and you someone else's post or even posting something of your own, you are taking your thoughts and who you are and you're pushing it out there so that people can actually see it and read it, and if it's good, you get the recognition and you carry on doing it. But in this age now where there are so many people starting new businesses, I am 100% convinced that if you are not using the reach that social media has, you are doing yourself and your business a great disservice. So it's not about just posting for the sake of posting. And by all means, if you've got nothing to post, don't post. But if you are trying to build a business or you're trying to build a personal brand, then you've got to get out there and you've got to post. Just try.
Well, there's no other way to do it, quite honestly, nowadays. if you're not on social media, if you're not posting, if you're not pushing things out for your business or yourself or whatever, you don't knock on doors anymore. You don't go face-to-face meetings. You just can't do it. And in any case, it's crazy if you want to go back there, because a post will give you 1,000 views or 500 likes or whatever it is. You're in your potential client's face all the time, and I mean it's just absolutely brilliant that you can do it this way.
You're right, and you're in the industry. It's focused advertising.
Yeah.
You can't go knocking on doors. Magazines are not publishing hard copy magazines anymore. Billboards are unaffordable. How do you get the message out there? Social media.
Yeah, I think historically most industries used to rely on these expositions that, you know, like the tourism and Darba and all those kinds of things, to engage and network. It was always, I think it was more of a big party for the marketing people, but that's what they used to rely on. None of that's going to happen for a while, so social media is the only way.
It's true.
I think it comes down to, you know, people are maybe a bit nervous to be creative, and I listened to, and if you got some time over the weekend, there was a Tim Ferriss podcast with Seth Godin, and a little nugget of wisdom that came out of there. They said, Seth Godin said, it's all about the process and not about the outcome. Learning to swim requires drowning for at least an hour and a half, which is why most people don't get to the other side. If you want to learn how to juggle, you have to drop an enormous number of balls. If you want to learn to swim, you have to sort of drown. If you want to learn to be creative, you have to show me an enormous number of bad ideas. Pick the smallest region, domain, any segment you want. Keep listing your bad ideas. Prove your bad ideas are not fatal. That's part 1. Part 2, domain knowledge and genre. It is true that once in a while an outsider shows up with something that nobody on the inside ever thought of, but that's not usually what happens. What usually happens is that someone with good taste decides to be willing to be creative, and good taste means you know what your audience wants 10 minutes before they do. You can't have good taste unless you have domain knowledge and understand genre. Now, what they mean by genre there is what am I expecting when I encounter your work. So I like that sort of definition, and particularly the analogy with swimming. And taking the next step is often just about drowning a bit, starting something and drowning. It's the only way to learn. So make mistakes, mess up. I mean, our show when we started back in, when did we start? I mean, I'm too embarrassed to watch the first episodes. I can't.
I'm not sure we were drowning then. I think it was beyond drowning.
So far out of the comfort zone, it's not even funny, but
We were drowning, man.
we're still not in the comfort zone.
No, we're
but-
still not in the comfort zone.
But we
that's
shouldn't
what
be
it's
in a
about.
comfort zone, actually.
And isn't it about the struggle? A bit. Joe Rogan talks about this a lot. You're supposed to struggle. You know, we set a constraint. We do this show every Friday. We're consistent about it. And it's work. But that's why we do it. We do it because it's hard.
Exactly.
And it's hard to articulate your thoughts or write your thoughts down and post them out there. But that's why you've got to do it. Why do you do the Ironman, Craig? It's not easy.
It keeps me busy during the week,
Yeah.
and then it results in a long day.
Yeah.
But you know what? It focuses the mind, and it creates this atmosphere of determination. You've got to keep going. And while you were talking now, it made me think of risk. We're too scared to step out and take that risk to start a company.
Is
pitch
that a
new
pilot
idea.
thing? Sorry to stop you
I
there.
think it is. I think it is, because pilots, we are not used to taking risks. We are trained to manage risks, not take them.
Yeah.
So it's totally out of our domain to step out and actually take a risk. It's against the way we've been trained. And I think maybe that's why pilots are struggling. Those that are no longer in the flight deck are struggling because they don't know how to take that risk. And it's that risk, it's that first step that is the hardest but necessary for success.
Yeah. Get that momentum going.
Yep. You know, you're talking about LinkedIn quickly. There was a young lady who posted something, and this is something that it's close to my heart. I mentioned it last time on on the Bryan Air podcast when I was here. This lady, she's from the Zambia Airports Corporation, Mwamba, and she had end of day thoughts. She said, every job is a self-portrait of a person who does it. Autograph your work with excellence. She says, I always endeavor to autograph mine with top-notch excellence. I am the brand representing me, what I stand for, what I believe, and what I intend to achieve. Life is not a by-the-way activity, but an activity of purpose. My purpose is to grow by learning from others because knowledge is vested in different people. I got mentored, I still do, I got encouraged, and I got pushed by people who always thought I had potential. And guess what? It worked, and it got me into the groove. I learned that life is about doing something with excellence. That is my signature. Always remember that in whatever you do, you must do it to the best of your ability because you might never get a chance to do it again. And these
Very
are words
cool.
from her mother. Yeah? Do everything to the best of your ability. I love that. I love
Yeah.
this.
That's what you left me with last time as well, you know. Make yourself proud. Do it as best you possibly can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. My mom used to say that to me, going off to school. You know, if I hadn't studied too hard for an exam, she'd say, you can only do your best.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a family joke as well. It often comes from our mom. It's at DYFJ. And it's do your job.
What's the
See.
F mean?
Have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sticks it. It's just the way it is. And it's what keeps us going and centered. So.
I found a use for Twitter, just as a little, my own nugget of info here. You know, if you've got an issue with your Vodacom contract or whatever it might be, DSTV's not working, MWeb, whatever. All these companies are obviously on Twitter, and if you want to get something sorted out quickly, like a issue with your line or something like that, then shoot it out on Twitter, you know, tag them in it with the @sign, and man, do they get back to you quickly, as opposed to getting on the line and, you know, waiting for someone to answer the call. Yeah, just an idea. If you're trying to sort something out that would normally require, you know, phoning them, shoot it out on Twitter, and they fix it quite quickly.
That gets their attention.
Yeah.
And remember that.
Yeah.
It goes about minimizing reputational damage.
That's it.
Companies must respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My email's not working. 5 minutes later, try this, done.
It definitely better than having to try and phone them on one of those numbers where you have to hold and take this selection and listen to
Oh man, that's irritating.
No,
that
try it.
disco
It's-
music of theirs.
It's well worth it. Well, we've been chatting for over an hour.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Your
Wow.
next training session is going to be a
I
marathon.
have to listen to my own voice for the next hour. Can I add 30 seconds onto it? As
No,
my
you can-
nugget,
you can
as
add
we,
as
as we
much as
finish.
you want,
Just 30
please.
seconds. So I read this the other day and I loved it. It says, success and failure is written in ice. Tomorrow the sun will rise.
Love it.
Very
Awesome.
good. Very good.
Always a pleasure having you, Craig. You're welcome anytime. You're one of our boys.
Thank you.
Have an awesome weekend, everyone.
Thanks,
And,
guys.
Next week, we're here. Same time, same place. Have a good weekend.
Thanks,
Cheers for
guys.
now.
Thanks, Greg.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Greg. Cheers,
Lovely.
man.